Now, the Gorilla Glue has set up. It's been about an hour or so since I've put these three pieces together. And what I'm wanting to do now is determine which way I want to turn this thing. A lot of people will lay the bass upon edge before they skin it when they're doing their patterns and create a curve and pattern it out like that. I don't do that. I will just go by the depth of the fish, and then I'm just going to curve this mannequin the way I want it, remember which is top, which is bottom. You can even mark it as top or bottom. We'll just put a T right here just to keep you in check with it. This is the top of the fish, okay? Now this was on the left side of your fish. You got to remember, this fish was laying on its right side when we trace this thing. I'm going to, when I skinned the fish, it was still on its right side, the show side. Now remember, this side right here is the back side, okay? And we're going to treat this as the wall side of the fish, okay? Now we've already got our depth with our calipers. Let me get my calipers. Now with our calipers, you can go and determine the thickest part of the fish. Hope you can see this. And these two marks right here is your thickest part of the fish. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just determine the thicknesses. Now what I've cut together is just a tad off, but I'm not going to worry about it. We can fill this a little bit if we need to with some kind of a filler when we mount it. But a lot of people, if you wish, you can go with this drawing, and on your top side determine the thickest part right through here. This is good. Now we're going to pull this down to this particular, let me see if I can get you in the camera. We're going to pull this down to my third measurement, and I'm just going to go to the top of it and determine it's just right on the edge. If you can see this, hope you can see this. Get you in the camera. Now I'm going to go to my next mark. Doing everything kind of one-handed, trying to keep you in the viewfinder. We're going to determine the edge again. All I'm going to do is create two little indentions. Same thing with the tail and so on. Now, most of the time I don't do this, or I don't go by these marks, but as a beginner you can use this to determine your thickness as you curve your fish body. Another thing is that you can leave the fish in a straight pattern. Let me pull this out a little bit in a straight pattern, or you can curve the tail a little bit. Remember, a fish doesn't turn his head left or right. He turns his whole body, so he's not going to be pulling his head around. So what we're going to do, I'm going to create a curve here on this tail. Remember, this is the back side, and all I'm wanting to do is pull this tail around. I'm going to cut it at an angle. I'm also going to cut just a little bit out on my mannequin to create this curve. Hope you can see this. Now, some of the tools I'm going to be using to curve this thing around with, first of all, I'm going to use this keyhole saw. This is a real nice trick to have. This does a majority of cutting. Then you can use, to help carve down your mannequin, a stout rougher. You can get this at most of your suppliers now. You can also use a 4-way file. I don't have one with me, but you can also get some of the bigger carpenter wood type files. You can find them at most hardwares. if you have a farrier or someone that does shoes horses, get you a farrier's rasp. These are really good. Now, first thing I want to do is, I've already determined my thickness and my curvature of my tail. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my saw right here, and instead of cutting a lot of stuff, I'm just going to start cutting off a little bit on the edging. I'm going to also turn the tail. I'm going to cut out just outside of the line on this tail. All I'm going to do is just start rounding things off. I am not going to cut a lot off at a time. Just start rounding it off a little bit. Now, as you can see, I've cut most of the corners off of my mannequin. I want to start tapering in my throat latch a little bit. Now, this is the back side that goes into the head. This is my throat latch area. I'm going to taper this off just a little bit with my saw. Not going to do a whole heck of a lot. I don't want to take too much off of it. Next, I'm going to take a stout rougher or a file, and I'm going to start rounding things up here. Take all the sharp edges off and start curving my mannequin. Again, this stout rougher is great for this. Now, keep in mind while you're rounding this off, not to take too much off right now. You're just going to get the rough edges off and get everything rounded up nice and pretty. Don't worry about these seams. The hide will cover them. You can use glues on this. If you're worried about the seams showing, so far, I have never had a fish to show these seams on these mannequins. Now, I just test fit my skin, and at the top of the mannequin, it is about an inch or so too wide. So, I'm going to take my saw, and at the top of the body, I'm going to try to leave the gut rounded as much as I possibly can. I'm going to shave off the top part of this mannequin, as you can see. Now, hopefully not. This is a bass. I took its head off. I want to use a replacement head on this particular fish. The idea about all this is getting everything lined up in the center of your mannequin. So I'm going to take some T-pins, just 2 or 3 T-pins here and there. And I'm just going to pull everything in place where it should be. Again, it's still just a wee bit off. Not bad, but just a wee bit off. So I'm going to round up the belly now just a little bit in this general area. Now, as you can see, everything fit real good. Bottoms fits good and the top fits good. So what I'm going to do is pin everything down. All of this right in here, since I took the head off, it's going to be carved, finished carving it out later whenever I reattach the head. So that's one thing about having this particular system. You can finish carving this thing out and working on it after it dries. So, but now you can also leave the head on your fish and still use it as a regular mannequin. So I highly recommend learning how to carve and put more money in your pocket. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Take care.